You are about to enter a great adventure.
This is Strutting From Gorilla.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, folks, and SFG is back because it's the most wonderful time of the year to talk wrestling. So this week on Strutting From Gorilla, we're breaking down our favorite holly jolly moments to try to get into the holiday spirit, you know? Before we get clotheslined by holiday cheer, though, I just want to make sure that the people that are listening and watching at home check out our channel. Want you to subscribe if you haven't already done that. Don't miss any future episodes. So we got more coming your way in 2025. And also, if you can find it in your heart, go back there, check out some of our archives. We have some great episodes, including a couple of interviews with LA Knight and an interview with the man Becky Lynch. Be sure to check it out. And we'll have the socials popping up here in a second too. Be sure to follow us on that. Now, Vito, so good to see you. Our schedule's finally worked out in the midst of the craziness that is the holiday season. How are we doing?
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas and happy holidays, Mikey Cash. It's the most wonderful time of the year, as you said. So we got a lot to talk about. I know we're focusing this episode on a lot of the holiday cheer that wrestling loves to bring this time of year. But before we do that, I just want to Did you watch Raw last night?
I did watch Raw last night.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, we started this podcast in 2020. It has evolved as wrestling has evolved over the years. Things have been good in the wrestling economy, right? And what I will tell you is watching Raw last night, CM Punk and Seth Rollins, man, I'm excited for that feud. And I like that they're starting it now, and it's hopefully going to probably go into the WrestleMania. It's going to be a nice little build up. It was great when he first came back. It just feels real, right? Yeah. Like it feels like they just don't like each other. And at this point, they're probably acquaintances and they're probably fine with each other. Yeah. But I hope it feels like they're harnessing that inner hatred.
Yeah, you can tell that they're really putting their A game forward here. And it's definitely something that for them clearly feels like unfinished business, right? When he first came back, they had the little teaser there, and then he got injured in the Royal Rumble. So they weren't able to do anything with it. But now he's back. Seth is back. Seth had some injuries right after WrestleMania that he had to take care of. So it's nice to see that both of them are healthy again. Punk is coming off one of the better rivalries he's had since he came back in Drew McIntyre. I really enjoyed that whole story. And now we get to see what happens with Punk and Rollins. And for me, it's kind of a little bit of a dream match. And there's so much history behind the two of them. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens.
Yeah, it'll be good. And don't forget, with the new way that WWE is doing this, I mean, you got CM Punk with the Bloodline feud. Like, there's multiple things that are going on at once that feel like it's happening for a reason. And it's good stuff. I mean, I'll also say Saturday Night Main Event's back. I thought it was cool, very nostalgic. I like that they did everything retro. You had Jesse the Body back, which is great. It just feels like everything is kind of clicking. Listen, they're not going to hit on everything, but overall, the general feel, it feels like things are good. And feels like the wrestlers are excited to be there. The storylines have been great. You know what? Instead of the Viking Raiders, we actually have the War Raiders. Like, thank God. Who cares? Like,
that might be the best Christmas gift we've gotten from WWE is that the War Raiders are finally the War Raiders again. And as you could see, last night they won the tag team championships. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it was a big night in Boston at Raw. Like, lots of exciting things. So, I just wanted to touch on some of the stuff we had going on that's live. I mean, even AEW, I've watched bits and pieces. Things have been pretty good. They're going to be on a streaming network. Like, I don't know. Things just seem pretty good. TNA has got some good stuff going on.
I don't know if you noticed, Vito, but Tessa Blanchard is back. That's a big return in
Big
TNA.
return.
Very
Big
controversial.
return.
I know
Big
there's
return.
already been a lot of pushback from her coming back because of the way she had left and all the bullying and the allegations that were levied against her. So I don't know. Well, it's very interesting to see how wrestling is evolving and growing coming into 2025. I don't think either one of us really anticipated that it would be in the state that it is today.
No, we were in this like, oh man, WWE is terrible. AEW is the savior of all of us for wrestling. I mean, there was points where me and you didn't watch it for long periods of time.
Mhm.
Now I find myself consistently interested. I mean, it's about as hot as it's ever been right now. And I mean, the other thing that was pretty cool, the whole angle with Triple H and Kevin Owens making like getting a little interaction at the end of Raw. Very, very cool stuff. And we're going into the new year. We're going to have Raw on Netflix, which I think is going to bring some big things. So
it's going to bring a lot. And speaking of, I know this is a holiday themed episode, so
yeah.
I had to let you know. I don't know if I even told you this, but I'll be going down to the Hammerstein Ballroom this weekend, and I'll be going. I can't get tickets to the Ring of Honor show. The tickets are just like crazy expensive, but I am going to the Christmas Collision episode of AEW. So I will report back to you just how wonderful that show might have been. So I'm looking forward to it.
I remember you telling me you're going to go.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool experience. It's not like, it's kind of like baseball, right? You get to go to these different, not arenas, stadiums, right? Yeah, and each one has a little bit of a historic setting behind them. There's not too many arenas that have that mystique in wrestling. You have Madison Square Garden, but like that ballroom is very unique. I feel like it's reminiscent of like a Fenway Park. It's got like this old nostalgic feel for ECW, and to go there and have a chance to go there once, I think is pretty cool. Doesn't matter what you're watching in there. So hopefully you come back safe and you don't get chairs thrown at you. And if Cena riots, if Cena wins, you don't riot, that type of thing.
No, I honestly, I'm looking forward to it. I've never been I'm from New York, but I never got to go to any of those shows back in the day. So this is sort of like a way for me to make up for that, just to be able to say I went to a wrestling show at Hammerstein Ballroom.
Yeah, no, that'll be fun. Good. Have a good time. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
All right. So, okay, we've waxed poetic about how much we love wrestling this year and how great that it's been and how we're looking forward to where it's going in 2025. Well, let's talk a little bit about some nostalgia here. Okay. Let's dive into that feel good holiday spirit that we all get into. And some people watch the Christmas Carol. Some people like to go caroling out in their communities. Some people, volunteer at soup kitchens. You and we watch the holiday themed wrestling shows. So I just wanted to get the sense from you, Vito, like what do you remember like the first holiday wrestling show?
Yep.
What was it?
So when we talk about holidays, I'm going to lump Thanksgiving into this too.
Oh, me too.
Because they do Christmas, New Year, Thanksgiving, Halloween every now and then. But the first one I remember, and I think I posted it a few years ago on our TikTok, but it was the Survivor Series. And it was like you remember how they used to do the old interviews, like very energetic. Each wrestler would have their little thing that they would do. I always think of Hulk Hogan and Jimmy Hart for some reason when I think of those old time interviews, or like the Road Warriors, right? Or the Ultimate Warrior, because his were so ridiculous. There was one where I think it was Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, and the Rockers. And randomly, Ultimate Warrior takes like tape that he had around. I don't know if you remember this, but he takes tape that he was like puts around. And he just starts walking around the wrestlers as they're talking and doing their promo. And you can tell they're all like, "What are you doing?" But no, I think of the Survivor Series. I don't remember which one it was. I'm gonna say early '90s, and Hulk Hogan was there, and it was all Thanksgiving themed, right?
Mhm.
Like, it was like say your prayers, eat your vitamins, and eat your turkey. Like it was good. So I like that they do that. What about you?
For me, it was so Survivor Series 1990 is known as the debut of The Undertaker, and it's very famous for that. But for old Mikey Cashier, Undertaker's debut gets unbelievably overshadowed by the debut of the hatching, if you will, of
Oh, I
the
forgot about that.
gobbledygooker for
Forgot
Thanksgiving.
about that. Yeah.
So it's really just something that is always stuck in my head. Like, I don't know why that particular memory is just forever etched in, but I just have the memory of sitting down, my uncle's living room, and we're watching this, and there it is. I get to see this majestic beast emerge from this giant egg, and really, when you watch something like that, you really start questioning, why did I get hooked on wrestling? I know.
It's a
I know.
question you could
It's a
ask for
question
the
that I
ages.
find myself asking 25 years later. But yeah, it's one of those things. Luckily, it's gotten better since then. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah,
So
it definitely has. And I mean, I think as you go along, there's definitely moments that you stick out. I think more as a kid when it sticks in my brain a little bit more because
yeah.
there's something magical about the holidays when you're, especially Christmas time when you're a kid, and you
Mhm.
get the time off from school. You can stay up a little bit later. Maybe you're not so tired during Monday Night Raw. And I remember, so when I was real young, I remember that Thanksgiving episode. But if I was gonna tell you what in your brain do you remember as the first holiday piece that you saw, I would honestly tell you that it was Stone Cold coming out with Santa Claus. Do you remember this? I think it was a Monday
Yeah.
Night Raw. I
Yeah.
think it was Monday Night Raw. It,
Mhm.
it may have been a pay-per-view, but I think it was Monday Night Raw. And
Mhm.
he starts talking to Santa Claus. And obviously he stuns Santa Claus, which as a kid, you're like, what the hell is going on? I can imagine being like or like a late teenager, getting into your early 20s and just dying
Mhm.
laughing at that because it was funny. I don't remember the segment word for word. I'd have to go back and watch it. But I remember Stone Cold come out and you know how he does? He sets them all up. He's like, "Oh, you're Santa Claus, huh?"
Right.
Like,
Austin was so good at that. Like, the
oh,
setup
so
for
good.
him was just top notch. He goes in and he has like a real conversation with you, and then it eventually ends in a beer and a stunner.
Yeah,
So it
yeah,
was a great formula, and it always worked.
yeah.
I uh, I was thinking about as you were talking, and in preparation for this, because I admittedly, yeah, there's a lot that I remember about the holiday stuff, but I'm sure like you, Vito, like you just forget over time. So one of the few things that I will give Peacock credit for is that they put together this collection, this best of WWE, and they called it Seasons Beatings. So you could go on the
Oh,
WWE chapter of Peacock, and it's one of the first things that pops up for you. It's like 2.5 hours of just different matches and segments throughout WWE's history of holiday themed segments. And honestly, it reminded me about some of the ones that I remembered that I loved again. And two,
yeah.
there were so many that I had never seen before. Like, there was one that was from, I was like, Tuesday Night Titans, and it was basically this segment that was a reenactment of A Christmas Carol, except the role of Scrooge was played by Roddy Piper. And
Okay.
it is one of those, you ever watch something that's so bad it's good?
Yes.
That's
I
what
mean,
this
that's
segment was. It was so bad it was good. And like, because you have Roddy Piper who's like being Roddy Piper and just completely ad-libbing and dressing down every ghost that comes into his room. And I mean, some of the things he says, I'm surprised they actually allowed on that special, considering who would be watching it. But whatever, it's Roddy Piper. It was the 80s, But that was one of the funnier ones that I'd seen. And then another one that I saw. Uh, that it's not my favorite, but it's one that definitely jumped up there that I forgot even happened. It's from 2001. This is post the invasion angle and all that stuff. And there's a holiday party in the locker room. Ric Flair's there, Big Show's there, Kane's there, Deborah, all like the whole locker room's back there. And Stone Cold walks in. He's got like a cooler full of beer, and he's just like, and this is like at the height of like the what chance. So he's just like going right into it. So everything he's doing, he's like, oh, we're gonna have a little eggnog. What? We're gonna do all of that. And
wasn't that Ric Flair's Christmas party?
I think it might have been.
I'm pretty sure it was. Ric Flair was having a Christmas party, and it was throughout the whole like night of whatever it was. Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because he was like half owner of WWE at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so one of the funnier things there is Tajiri is dressed up as Santa. And at one point, Austin just sits down on his lap, and like he's just sitting there, and he's just like kind of pulling this promo, asking about what he wants for Christmas. And he's just like, I want to beat up Booker T. I want to beat up Vince McMahon. I want another shot at the undisputed title. And it was just, like the Jerry's just like, I don't understand anything he's saying. It was really one of the funnier segments that I had seen. I completely forgot it existed. So
yeah, I remember that one. I was going to tell you that was up there with one of mine. But yeah, it was Ric Flair, and I remember he was having a party, and like I don't know, you know how they do the interludes, right? Like every now and then they go back, and like Deborah was there, and Trish Stratus was the women's champion. Edge was there. I think Kane was there. There was a bunch of good moments, but it was definitely highlighted by Stone Cold sitting on Tajiri's lap. Isn't that where, they do the meme on TikTok or the popular video or whatever, and so it's like Stone Cold, I'm gonna have a beer, I'm gonna have another beer, I'm gonna have another beer, and I want a whiskey drink. I think that's where it comes from. If you watch it, I'm pretty sure
it might be.
Yeah.
He had so many at that time. I feel like at one point in late 2001, they just had him walking out there pulling promos to just like waste a good 15 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, always. I'll tell you another one that I remember, and there's a lot, but Mick Foley always comes to mind. If you didn't know this and you're listening, Mick Foley loves Christmas, and he always dresses up as Santa Claus, like always. I think he's got like a special outfit, and I feel like every time they do a Christmas segment, he was always involved. And I'll let you know this segment better, because I didn't even know he was the Santa Claus, but there was the Alberto Del Rio segment where he runs over Santa Claus.
Yeah. Okay. So it's only fresh in my mind because it's on this best of on Peacock. So Alberto Del Rio's coming out, and while he's like coming out, at the time he was like kind of had the JBL thing. He was like coming out in his car.
Yeah,
so
I remember.
He gets introduced, and Santa Claus is like walking through. There was like some segment where he's like giving gifts out. He's at ringside, and he's working his way back to sort of like the side of the Titantron, and Alberto's music hits, and he's coming out, and like the camera cuts, and you just see like the Mick Foley Santa Claus like gets like hit by the car, and they planned it really well because then a Christmas tree falls on Santa too, so it's just like insult to injury, and everybody starts booing. And honestly, I know I gave them a lot of flack for that time frame, like 2012, 2013. Like the commentary was actually played it completely straight, as if he had actually run over Santa Claus and killed this man. And it was unbelievable. You would have thought that Alberto Del Rio was about to be on the run from the police. So they have the segment, they cut to commercial, and then when they come back, they have I think it was Matt Stryker was the announcer at the time. He's backstage, and they have the door propped open to the locker room, and you see Santa's feet up there, and it's kind of looking like the Wicked Witch of like, under the house, So his feet are there, and you hear a heart monitor, and Matt Stryker's like, yeah, it's really touch and go right now. We really can't give you too much of an update on Santa's condition. We don't know what's going to happen here. Like basically, like there must be kids in the audience thinking Santa Claus might die tonight. I don't know what's going on, So you hear the heart monitor, and it like slows down for a minute, and I'm like, oh my god, are they about to kill Santa on Raw? And then it starts beeping, and then it starts beeping into like, I think like Deck the Halls, or it starts beeping into some Christmas song. And as it's doing that, like his feet start clicking. He's like clicking his boots, like so. It's like one of the funniest things. So apparently, so John Cena then steps up and says, "I'm going to fight for Santa's honor." So he tries to fight Del Rio. Del Rio comes out and he's trying to plead with him. It was just an accident. It was just an accident. Cena apparently for this moment in time just defies all logic, doesn't want to listen to anything he says, and just starts beating the hell out of him. Honestly, it was a pretty lopsided match. And at one point, El Del Rio did get the upper hand, but then merry old Saint Mick comes riding down, and he takes out not Mr. Sacco, but Mr. Stacco, because it's a little Christmas play on his Sacco gimmick, and decides to give the mandible claw to Del Rio, and then John Cena saves Christmas by winning that match. But it's really one of the better feel-good endings in all of Christmas Raws that I've seen.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. That was a time where I wasn't watching it so loyally, so I probably didn't see it live. But like the the heartbeat, and Stryker is a very underrated commentator. Like, he actually was pretty good. I know he had some mishaps or whatever recently with what he said, but overall I thought he was a good commentator, and that stuff adds to it, right? So
Yeah.
it like, it just adds a little bit of a piece, and it was so good.
John Cena has defended the honor of Christmas on multiple occasions.
I was gonna say, so the tribute for the troops was another thing that WWE always has done. And it not only I think it's a cool look for WWE to pay tribute to our troops, but they would go over to Afghanistan and do matches. And I remember one where John Cena came out as Santa Claus, right? And I think Vince McMahon is like, acting like he's better than Santa Claus and saying, "Hey, I'm Vince McMahon. I give out money. What do you give out? Gifts?" And like, you know how he is with that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he gets all nervous when John Cena takes off the beard, and he gets an attitude adjustment. And there's always funny little shticks like that they would do. But the tribute for the troops was a staple. I don't think they do it anymore.
I don't think so. I think the last one was maybe a couple of years ago. And at that point, for people who didn't know, when they would do tribute to the troops, for the first, I think like 5 years, it was in Iraq. They would go to a base and have this show, which is kind of incredible and dangerous, and there's a lot to that. But at another point, it became sort of just, it was like a stateside show, and they would have it there, and they have a lot of military members there. But I don't think they've done it in a couple of years now.
Yeah.
But what you're talking about, though, is, again, John Cena is sort of underratedly like a huge part of all of these holiday shows that they've done. Even if you go back to, I think it's 2003, and this is a Thanksgiving one, where SmackDown is having this big Thanksgiving dinner, and they're saying grace, and so everyone's sort of going around and like saying something that they're thankful for, and then John Cena, who at the time was doing his Doctor of Thugonomics gimmick, so he went into this full-on rap where he essentially is like super inappropriate and and just hits on every woman in the locker room. And you can watch it and you can see for yourself like some of the things he says, but it's also hysterical too. But he has that, and then John Cena also saves Christmas from being ruined by Santino Marella. At one point, Santino comes out and he says he was gonna tell all the kids that Santa Claus is not real. And John Cena comes out to try to save that and beats him up. So credit to John Cena. He must be a real G for Christmas, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, here's the weird connection. So Mick Foley is really good friends with John Cena's father, who also loves Christmas. And John Cena Sr. gave Mick Foley this very nice belt, because the belt is a
Oh.
staple of the Santa Claus outfit.
I
So
didn't
there
know
is that connection there between those two, which then probably rubs off on John
Mm,
Cena. So
wow.
there it is.
So
There's
really,
your
Cena
insider
is
information.
invested to stay on the good list, not the naughty
Yeah,
list. Good for him.
yeah, that's right. That's right. John Cena is not on the naughty list, ladies and
Mhm.
gentlemen. He is on the good boys list.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, of course, it's John Cena.
Yep. Alberto Del Rio, naughty list.
Naughty list.
Stone
You know,
Cold's probably on the naughty list too.
he probably is on the naughty list, but
Yeah.
Santa's probably scared of him, so he gives him a gift anyway.
Yeah.
You know who is sort of naughty but also nice? Rusev Claus. I watched this segment. It was with the New Day and Rusev Claus from like 2017. They're walking around backstage and they're all dressed up as different like Christmas characters. And Big E's handing out. He just keeps calling them Flappy Jacks and he's just stuffing them into people's mouths. And he's walking backstage and Rusev comes through. And it was at that point when Rusev Day was super big.
Yeah.
So he's just like, he's at the height right there. Like Rusev is so funny. He's really underrated for his comic timing. And he's talking about, there's only one thing to celebrate here, and it's Rusev Day, and he's taking stuff out of like the bag, and then he smacked like something out of the tray of flapjacks out of Big E's hand, and like one of the most intimidating things a wrestler can say to you is, "You done flapped the wrong jack," and that is what Big E said, and it was on from there. And I think they ended up having a match where New Day won, but it's just one of those funny segments. Looking back on it, I feel like traditionally you look at this stuff and you're like, it's so corny and hokey, and it really is, but it's also hysterical. If you just let yourself enjoy it, it's great.
Oh, 100%. There was also, and hey, this is one that we didn't have on our list here, but D-Generation X had a, you know exactly where I'm going.
God, how'd I forget
They
about
had a pay-per-view called D-Generation X.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they came out, and it was very controversial at the time. They came out in I think Santa outfits or some sort of holiday outfits. And then they ripped their pants off, and they had little presents, and it was all censored. It was back in the days when WWE was very much like Girls Gone Wild. They were trying to like rip that off / Jerry Springer. Everything they did was, pushing the envelope. I think they had a lot of, I'm sure if we go back, I can't remember them, but I'm sure there was some sort of bra and panties Christmas match, or like a women wrestling in a mud pit match or something. So not maybe the best memories of a holiday, but they happened. That was one. Adolescent Anthony, puberty Anthony was happy about it, and I'm sure most boys were, but in today's world, it's probably not something you'll see again. So
Probably not.
Probably not.
One thing, I know we're getting close to time here, but one thing I have to put out there, and it is my personal favorite holiday segment, and I think anybody who knows me knows it's going to involve The Rock. It's 2001. The Rock is feuding with Test at this time, and he comes out and he decides to sing the 12 Days of Christmas to tell Test exactly what it is he's going to do to him. And it's really just one of the all-time great Rock promos. If people haven't seen it, go on there. It's on that Peacock thing. You can find it on YouTube. It's all over the place. So just check it out. Just the way that it ends with 3 rock bottoms on your 2 buck teeth and an ass kicking all over New Orleans. Just how do you just chef's kiss? One of the funniest I've seen.
We also had, and also this was posted on our TikTok, but there was one which is kind of a disturbing holiday memory. But it was when Big Show dressed up as a baby for New Year's, like the New Year's baby. I got a video of it on TikTok from a few years ago when we were celebrating the New Year. It's a little bit disturbing, kind of funny. It's a mix between the two. I don't know which side you want to lean on. You can go either way with disturbing or funny. But very, very interesting. But yeah, no, lots of good stuff that WWE does when we're celebrating the holidays, and kind of staples of, and I feel like not everyone's a hit, right? But but there are ones that stick out for sure, and every now and then they have a good hit that we're talking about here. And what I would say is, if you're a listener, comment on ones that we maybe forgot about. If there's ones we didn't have, let us know your favorite holiday memories, or ones that maybe we missed on this holiday hit list of segments or matches even.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of good Miracle on 34th Street fights. That seems to be a staple now of WWE's Christmas shows. So go back and check those out. There's actually a good one, speaking of, between Jon Moxley and Bray Wyatt. So I think, if you want to see a little bit of Bray's work, if some people aren't that familiar, that match is actually really good. They do a good job. Both of those guys work hard, and it's definitely worth a watch. All right. Well, Vito, you got anything left? I mean, I feel like we've covered as much Christmas as we can.
Christmas, Thanksgiving, you name it. I would say we covered it all. No, I just want to, Mikey Cash, I wish you and all of our fans listening a very happy holidays. Enjoy the time, and hopefully we're going to have some more episodes as we get into the new year. This is now going on this is going on our 5th year.
Wow.
Of Strutting From Gorilla. So hopefully we'll see a little bit of new stuff as we go into the new year here, and we get into the new season. That's
right. And to echo Vito's sentiments, we hope you guys enjoyed taking this ride in a one-horse open sleigh down memory lane. So I had to do it. We hope you guys I had to do it. I had to. Hope you guys have a happy and safe holiday. We look forward to bringing you more SFG in 2025. And one more time, remember to deck your halls and then strut down them, jabronis.